are back, just Mark and I. Din will be back for the next one. Hopefully, downtown Stephen Brown will join us again as we kickstart Leafs and Lads all over again. The season is 1.5 weeks away, but it doesn't feel real, Like, does it feel like hockey's about to start to you?
No, not at all. Maybe
Yeah.
it's just the busy schedule and like other sports, like football's going on. Uh, yeah, I don't know.
Baseball playoffs,
Yeah, the Jays are in it this year.
yeah, lots to
Just so
focus
much going
on.
on.
Yeah, whereas last year around this time we were pretty upset that the Jays had been eliminated like one or two games out, and we were ready for hockey. But I mean,
Yep.
I think we're gonna have to be like, let's start off with what we left off on our last episode, which is
Right.
goaltending.
Oh yeah.
So I talked to you before the episode. You haven't really watched much of the Leafs preseason. I have watched quite a bit. So based on your watching the highlights and looking at the box scores, thoughts on Murray and Samsonov? Has it changed from the start of preseason to now?
I like Matt Murray in blue. I I'm liking Matt Murray, but at the same time, I feel like I said this about Campbell and Mrazek at this time last year, going, this could work. This is a good little tandem.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm optimistic, but I feel like I should simmer down a little bit. What do you think so far?
Well, firstly, I'm trying to decide where to look because I have my laptop. I'm going to look at the camera so that it feels like I'm not talking to a wall for everyone out there. I liked getting both of them right when that signing happened. I wasn't a big fan of the fact that we didn't get more salary retained in the Murray deal.
Yeah.
But Samsonov was like the exact kind of guy I want to take a flyer on. Because he's 25, I believe. He's had one really good season. Last season was Matt, and then in the playoffs he was Matt. But 25 years old as a goaltender, like you're not even in your prime yet.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited about him. He's looked awesome. I believe one person said that one of his issues is that he's very emotional, which, I mean, for a Russian goalie, that's not going to be like maybe he has some check in him. But I think that whole Eastern Europe, like, you're going to get an emotional goalie no matter what. So I think you kind of
I
just need,
like that.
yeah,
A
well,
goalie
yeah,
with a little attitude, sure.
yeah, yeah. Let's just hope he's not like Bingham, uh, Bennington. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
who's going to
Yeah.
slash sticks over people's heads.
Swing a stick at your head.
Yeah, but no, I really like having both of those guys because they're both potential really good starters. And you could kind of say that walking into Campbell and Mrazek last year,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe it's not based on too much actual stats, but I feel better having Murray and Samsonov as the two options, even though Murray has his
Wow.
injury troubles, just like Mrazek did. But Shalgren as our third, like, we have an established third guy this year. I think that might make
Yeah.
a little bit of a difference because last year we were like, is Hutch our third guy?
Can
Like, we
you
didn't.
say we haven't established two?
Yeah, no, you can. And last year you could kind of say that because Mrazek was supposed to be like, Mrazek's always
Yeah.
been a
The
decent.
stats showed that he should have been good
Yeah.
ish.
And then he was just bad. We
Yeah.
signed him for too much. I felt that right away. I was never because I remember we always watched Mrazek in the Detroit and
Yep.
Carolina games, and I was like, he's not very like it. Just like he
It's
didn't
like,
pass the eye
meh.
test to me. Murray's won two cups. He's looked amazing. See that save
Yeah.
last night on Slavkovsky. Uh, I'm just super excited because one of them's going to play really well. And last year we had sub 900 goaltending and still finished the best the Maple Leafs have ever finished. Um,
Yeah.
so all we need is 900 or above. And I think that's totally something that can happen.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes.
Murray has the capability. And from the preseason, it looks like he's gaining that confidence back. Unfortunately, he had to play in Ottawa, got the Ottawa Blues and a little trouble, but now he's on the Leafs. So let's
Mhm.
go.
Question, because a lot on Twitter is mostly Sens fans thinking they're going to be like win the Stanley Cup, which we can't talk. We say that every year for the Leafs.
Yeah.
But who do
That's
you think right now is the bigger rivalry with us?
ooh.
The Sens or
Like,
the Habs? Who do you want? Who do you hate losing to more and like winning against more?
I think the biggest rivalry is still Montreal.
Hmm.
Just because I I just hate losing to them the
Hmm.
most. And Ottawa, they always play us tough and they somehow beat us when they absolutely suck, which is also frustrating. But
Hmm.
maybe it's because we lived in Ottawa for a little bit. I'm a little more sympathetic towards them. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but Montreal is just a no go. What about
Okay.
you?
Uh it's interest for me. It's I don't know if any fans can relate. The the teams that I hate losing against the most are the most arrogant of fans of any of my friends. Right.
Mm,
So if any of my friends really like a team, it could be St. Louis, and they are just like super like we're gonna Leafs suck. My biggest rivalry is St. Louis. Uh, so I would say it would be Ottawa that I hate to lose more just because we lived in
ooh,
Ottawa and I know a bunch of people. And I also think that Ottawa is going to be better than the Habs. Might be a hot take. I think Ottawa is going to be better than the Habs this year. Um, I
oh,
don't think
wow.
they're going to be better than the Leafs. I honestly think the Leafs are going to finish number one on top of our division. Uh, and I think the Sens might be challenging for a playoff spot. I don't think Montreal will be. But I mean,
Oh,
that's just based on looking at their lineup, especially their top
yep.
six. They still don't really have a defense.
Mm.
And Cam Talbot just got injured. So
Oh,
yeah, they're going to be struggling that way. Um,
wow.
anyways,
That's a good
let's,
question, though, for anyone who's listening. Comment who you hate more,
yeah.
Ottawa or Montreal.
Or
I'd love to
Boston.
know.
I feel like Boston might be in that three zone, you know?
Oh, they're third for
Yeah.
sure. They're top
Yeah.
three.
Yeah. Yeah. We always hate losing to Boston. I feel like Boston has the biggest rivalry with us too. I feel like they just love chirping us, which is fair. You know, we don't we
Yeah.
don't deserve not to get chirped at
Who's
this point.
supposed to be their biggest rival?
The Bruins, I don't know, like Philly last little bit, but like the Rangers always will be. They're like right in that
Yeah.
cluster of a bunch of cities, you know, so they're always going to have those rivalries with those cities. But I feel like the Leafs
Okay.
are up there, and Montreal, the Boston and Montreal do not like each other. Just any original six team within
Yeah.
the other original six is always going to have a bit of a rivalry just from the
Okay.
and that's more from the boomer generation, I feel. But I mean, like
Yeah.
we don't have a rivalry with Chicago, for example.
Yeah.
You know, like it's whatever. I'll cheer kind of for Chicago, I guess. Um, so let's move on to
Okay.
my favorite player on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Hopefully, on the Toronto Maple Leafs, come cuts next week. Nick Robertson.
Whoa. Okay.
I feel like
Favorite
I
Leaf. Well,
have to be the biggest Nick Robertson fan of anyone in Leafs fandom. Last year, I went on my rants, multiple rants about how
yeah.
much I love his mindset, and I feel like he's going to be a star in the NHL. And after this preseason, the last few games especially, I still feel that. Thoughts?
It just sucked. He got injured last year. It just threw a bucket of water on the fire. And now this is his big opportunity to do. I don't know if you could say what he was supposed to do last year, but this year, this is when he really needs to step up and grab a starting spot on the lineup.
Yeah. Now, the interesting thing is, and this is the argument for him not making the team, is you have a few guys who are on the fringe that will be picked up on waivers. He is waiver exempt, so he can be sent
Okay.
down without anyone picking him up. So it's one of
Ooh.
the arguments where it's just like if we send down Godet or if we send down Abe Kubel. Like they're very likely going to be picked up by another team. Whereas you
Right.
don't have to worry about that with Robertson. My thing
Shoot.
is that Tavares is injured right now. Robertson has shown insane chemistry with Nylander, although, and we'll get to Dennis Malgin. Malgin has too. But that frees up that one extra spot. My thoughts is you kind of just give him an audition on that second line with Willie for the first couple weeks while Tavares is hurt.
Yeah.
And if he's not producing as much as we need him to, he can just be sent down later on.
Yeah, with no worries of being claimed. Yeah, that's a really big point.
Yeah.
He he's a guy, every time I watch him, if he's not getting like an assist or a goal, you still notice him because he's scrambling, doing everything he can to try and win the puck back or make a play. He's really fun to watch. And I think you're right that it's because of that mindset he has. And that's the kind of player Toronto needs, I think, is that go getter.
And the guy whose ceiling is very high. Like Abe Kubel, he's and Gaudette are like functional, but like they're great to have on your bottom six. But are they going to be the guys who can potentially put up 30 goals in a year like Nick Robertson can? In my opinion, no. But then the other argument is like, well, he can be sent down. He's still only 21. So maybe later in the year with injuries or next year, that's when his big shot is. I just really want to see him. I want to see what he can do, especially in the first couple of weeks without Tavares, and see if he can develop stuff with Nylander, because I think that's one of the reasons we didn't go out and get a guy like Sonny Milano to play in that top six, is because they figured that it's Nick Robertson who should get a chance to play actual minutes. Because last year he played like 6 minutes on the fourth line.
Yeah, it was like nothing.
Yeah, it's like what the hell is that gonna do?
No shot.
And did you see Austin Matthews actually made a comment? He's like, he has the hardest shot on the team. Nick Robertson.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, and I saw everyone's responses was just like, did Austin forget he was on the Maple Leafs? But anyways.
Oh no.
Yeah, and he's
thinking
also
ahead to Phoenix.
No. We're gonna be the one podcast that doesn't talk about that until his contract year. The other thing too is I know this doesn't mean much to some people, but this just goes to my mindset point of how much I like his like go-getter, like I'm gonna be the best mindset. Is like he's competing and being the last one off the ice, which Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews, who are always the last ones off the ice, and he's sticking around with them. Which just like speaks to his character once again. I just really want to see this guy succeed, and really. Worst comes to worst, he's 21. Like everyone seems fed up with him, but he came up in the playoffs when he's 19 years old and he's small, like he's gonna be bigger. Fine. Yeah, he's gonna be fine. Speaking of getting bigger, Rasmus Sandin got signed. Now I predicted a 2-year contract. It was the initial one that he was asked. He signed for the same as Liljegren, which was what Dubas initially asked for. They put it off for that long, and then he does resign for that exact amount they asked earlier in the summer. Now I've heard 2 thoughts on this. His agent basically came out and said that with all the injuries happening, Ben's out for a couple weeks, Muzzin's out, that he wanted to just come and help out the team, and that meant like taking whatever just to come help out the team. There's that one angle where people are saying that, which is like awesome, but of course they're going to say that. The other angle is that he realized he didn't really have too much leverage, and he probably also realized that, hey, he might actually get a shot to play some good minutes with some of these guys injured, knowing that Muzzin probably won't stay healthy very much, and he might as well just sign, because it's pretty clear he's either going to sign or he's not going to play, because another team's not going to pick him up. So what are your thoughts on either one of those? Does any resonate more?
I don't know. I don't really have an opinion. Like, I'm just so pumped that he signed the 2 years just to get it out of the way, because that's just something that would have just nagged at him. Like, it's one that you wouldn't think about, but if we didn't do that and he was just thinking about his contract instead of hockey, I guess, it would just slowly eat away at you. I'm just glad they got it done before the season started. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. The reason I brought up getting bigger is because I think he came back this year 14 pounds heavier than last year
Whoa,
from the off season. Now, apparently, most of that is muscle. Although, as
that's a
me as a
lot.
personal trainer knows, 14 pounds of muscle in 1 year without any kind of enhancements. There's some off season weight that he put on there too. So
Yeah,
that's why they sat him
good
out for the
help
one
though.
preseason game. They're just trying to get him back in shape. Apparently, he looks good in drills and on the bike. So it'll only be a matter of time until he's back. But apparently he's gotten bigger. So those hip checks that he pulls at least once a game are going to be that much more impactful, which is good to see. I'm super excited to have him back. And I think for him, it's like he was worried about not making in the lineup. But once again, like Muzzin isn't going to be healthy all year. Like the Geo might not be. They might need to rest him some games. Like this year,
Yeah.
definitely. Let's say he gets in 75% of the games, which he should. And
Yeah.
if he wasn't hurt last year, he would have been in the playoff roster, in my opinion.
Yes, definitely.
So then next year, when I don't think Muzzin will be with us next year, Hall's not going to be with us next year. Geo, I know he might be
Hall's gonna be with
little
us
bit
forever,
more.
dude.
No, his contract ends, so he can't. Um, so he will have a lot more playing time, probably in the top four.
Yeah.
So something downtown mentioned was that he hopes he doesn't kind of become Travis Dermott, where we see all this potential, gets so excited, and
Oh,
then he just doesn't really pan out.
fizzle out a bit.
Yeah, I don't think I think Sandine is better than Dermott has ever been.
Yep.
So I'm super excited. I really like this decor right now, and it'll be nice when Lily gets back too. Uh,
Yeah, really.
and for you who hasn't watched the games, I don't know. Many Leaf fans probably don't watch preseason games, but Victor Mete has looked really good, especially on the offensive side of the puck, and been playing with Morgan Riley off and on. So, at least to start the year, I mean, if we can, that he'll be a good contributing factor, be a seventh man, or maybe in slot him in the lineup as Muzzin's hurt. The next person that I wanted to talk about was Dennis Malgin. When I say Dennis Malgin, you think blank.
Marlies.
Okay. So he played in Switzerland last year. He put up really good points. He's played like, I don't know, around 100 games in the NHL. So he's played a lot in the NHL.
Okay.
He was the Mason Marchment recipient in the
Oh,
trade.
okay. Yep.
And
Wondering how we
he's
got him.
after that trade, he played with the Leafs a little bit and he looked lost out there.
Yeah.
He didn't look like an NHL player, even though he's proven that he can do
Yeah.
NHL stuff. He still is relatively young. And he's looked really good with William Nylander on that second line and on the power play. He's put up quite a few goals in this preseason. I think he might even lead the team in goals. Maybe him or Willie.
Yeah.
Does this guy with Tavares on the and possibly Engvall on the injured reserve to start the season? Does this guy get a roster spot? What do you think?
I feel like isn't he young too? Like ish? Like middle?
I'll look up.
I always thought of him as like a decent prospect when he was coming up. And then I didn't really hear anything from him for a while.
He's 25.
25.
Yeah.
So I remember him from, I think it was like NHL 19. And he was one of the like better prospects to sign. And oh, yeah, this guy's cool. And then, yeah, then the few games that he played, I just remember going, this guy needs to go to the Marlies right now. But I haven't watched him this year. So it's pretty exciting that he came back, kind of composed himself, and is stepping up.
Yeah, so in his NHL career, Dennis Malgin has 60 points in 192 games played. So he's played quite a bit. Last year in Switzerland, he played on Zurich, played 48 games and had 52 points and was a plus 18. And then on Team Switzerland, he played 8 games and had 7 points. So, something might have clicked with him. And this is the issue. You have a bunch of guys that it's going to come down to what Keefe is looking for.
Yeah.
In
role What's the players. Identity?
Yeah. And like Adam Gaudette hasn't, I don't know if all of you watched preseason. I haven't found him look particularly explosive or good. He's kind of just been a guy. Now, granted, I think he's only played 2 preseason games.
Yeah.
Um, but and he has another bit like higher ceiling than Abe Kubel, for example.
Yeah.
Aston Reese, I think everyone's under the consensus he'll be signed to a 1 year deal for 800K. And he's looked great. He's throwing the body out there. He's a Wayne Simmons, but younger, a bit younger,
Yeah.
and not offensively sound at all. But he's going to
Yeah.
bang the body, play great defense. He's actually scored a goal in the preseason,
Right on.
maybe even two. But I think so. He's going to be signed. So your fourth line is looking like Camp, Abe Kubel, who we all think is going to make the team as well,
Okay.
especially for the amount he was signed for, and Aston Reese, which leaves the third line as Engvall, Yarncroc, and Kerfoot, which
Yep.
leaves
Oh yeah.
only one spot on that
Ooh.
second line right now. Now, Tavares is injured.
Yeah.
So you put Kerfoot back up there. So there's two spots. So we have Malgin, we
Yeah.
have Robertson, we have Gaudette. And Alex Steves has looked really good, but he's one of those guys you
Phenomenal
can
last
send
year.
back. Yeah, so he's someone that like I'm okay with sending
Ooh.
back for now.
Yep.
He can prove himself, play a little bit more in the power play, but he's looked really good. So it's basically between like those last two spots. Are they Dennis Malgins and Nick Robertson, or does Adam Gaudette get to stay with the team? Like, what are your thoughts?
I just feel like it would be so like disrespectful to give it to Malgin and not Robertson, just because like he just got here, played a couple of preseason games while Nick Robertson's been here grinding it out. It'd be really tough for him to get it over Robertson. I feel like if I was Robertson, I'd be pissed. But you never know. I Godette might get the spot just for his NHL experience.
But then you could say the same about Malgin. Malgin's played way more games than Gaudette has in the NHL.
Oh yeah, that's frig. Yeah,
So
that's so tough.
these are good. These are good
Nick
spots
Robertson's
to be
going
in.
down, isn't he?
Yeah, I feel like he couldn't have
Yeah.
done any more in the preseason than what he's done recently. The last two
Yeah.
games, I think he's had 5 or 6 points, something like that. And he's made great one puck battles. Like he's shown that he's
Yeah.
a little bit bigger. But that waiver exemption is big.
Yeah.
My thing is, if you lose Gaudette, I'm not super upset. Now that's granted because we haven't really seen him, so like I haven't been like I'm not in love with this guy yet. You know, like I wouldn't say that about Andre Kasha last year though. Like if you sent him down, I would be upset. The reason I'm not upset is because you have guys like Alex Steves that you can bring up. Pontus Holmberg you can bring up. You know, like there's guys in the age, Kyle Clifford you can bring, like Simmons. You know, we haven't even talked about Simmons. Like there's guys that you can bring up where Nick Robertson once again just has that ceiling that is just like
Who was
so.
who was the guy we had last year that was really slow, but was like he was pretty good, like a good shot. I think he played on the fourth line, but we thought he was going to play on the second.
Nick Ritchie?
Nick Ritchie. Is Godette a new Nick Ritchie?
No, because Nick Ritchie was slotted in on the
That's
first
what
line.
I think. That's how I'm comparing him
Okay.
right now.
No, Gaudette is like the antithesis of Nick Ritchie. He is fast, super fast.
Okay.
Yeah. He is not a Nick Ritchie, more of a playmaker than Nick Ritchie. Like, yeah, not the same. I was wondering, I totally forgot. See, these are the things you just forget that
I
we had
forgot
Nick
about
Ritchie
him. Yeah,
starting on
Nick
the first
Ritchie.
line, you know? Anyway,
This will work.
yeah. I just don't mind because I think that we have guys that can come up from the AHL that can play relatively similar minutes to Gaudette, whereas I feel like Robertson has the potential to be similar to his brother in terms of point production, honestly. And he's a first line player. So,
Yeah.
you know, I like that. Pontus Holmberg has looked really good too. He's another guy you can bring up who plays a physical style of hockey as well. So I would prefer Malgin and Robertson to stay up with this team, but I'm gonna be okay with whatever because I know that Robertson is the first call up, no matter what, you know. So
I hope he gets a fair shake.
yeah, and I mean, if he has to go to the AHL, like once again, he's 21 years old. Like people don't give up on this guy, you know. Like he's been injured a bunch, but he has insane AHL point production, especially for his age. So Anyways, I wanted to quickly get your thoughts on Marner playing defense.
Oh my
Is
gosh.
there anything
I've
there?
actually seen some comments on it, and I have to agree with all of them that it's so stupid. Like, why potentially risk our like top point guy to get injured when you're on defense to make hits, block pucks, and now you're potentially risking one of our best players not there for it. No, he doesn't
So,
have the size, I think, too, to like
so
consistently do it.
I feel
Although
like
he does do it on the power play.
it's one of those things where if you're down 2 goals in the third period, you want as many good offensive players out there on the ice at one time. And if Mitch Marner can be 75% of the defense that a guy like Liljegren, who isn't as offensively gifted, can be, but he can be way better offensively. Don't you want to have Nylander, Tavares, Matthews,
It's
Marner,
our power
and
play line.
Riley? Right. I don't mind. I don't mind it. It's like a wildcat in football. Please don't do it every time, but do
Yeah, I
it.
guess situationally,
Yeah,
sure. I guess.
yeah,
Yeah, because he won't be checking and blocking pucks if we're pushing it up the ice, I guess.
yeah.
So,
And I don't think you
yeah.
put Marner there on defensive zone starts. Like if anything,
Yeah.
you're only putting him there on offensive zone starts when you need a
3 point.
goal.
Okay.
So
Yeah. That makes
yeah,
way more sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, Marner is like he's always out there on the PK. He's always out there in the last minute. Like he can play defense.
Mm-hmm.
It's just he's not going to really push anyone off the puck. But in terms of injury, Marner is one of the most gifted guys in the NHL, like wiggling away from checks.
Yeah.
Because he's always had to. I can relate. I was a
He's a little
smaller
deer.
guy in hockey my whole life, and you have to learn how to defend yourself and like get out of the way of hits because if you're taking a lot of them, you're not going to be in the NHL very long. Um,
Speaking of defensemen, I'm wondering if you have any updates on our boy
Topi,
Topi Niemela.
I don't have
What's
any
going on with him?
updates.
Is he here? Is he
No,
playing the preseason?
no. I think
No
he's going to be in
way.
Finland for one more year.
Come on.
I know it's so depressing. So he's played 6 games in the SM Liga, the Finnish Hockey League.
This year?
Yeah, he has 1 assist and 1 point. So not the best. But I mean, I don't know if you watched the World Juniors. He looked awesome there. He almost scored the game-winning goal
Yeah.
against Canada. So he's still super young.
Topi.
He's 20 years old. Like,
Yep.
yep, and defensemen take a little bit. He'll be either later in this year with AHL, but I don't expect him to start in the NHL, especially because of how many depth guys we got. Keep in mind, so we have um, let's say Riley Brody, Geo Hall, Muzzin, and Liljegren, Sandine, Mete, Jordy Ben. That's our depth. So it's going to
Every
be
year we
really
just
tough.
get a little bit more.
Yeah, just remember, like a couple years ago,
Wow.
we had Hutton as our seventh or sixth E man. So, like, you're right. Every year we are getting a little bit better, and um, I just don't see he's not going to make the he's not going to play on the NHL this year, but the year
Yep.
after, Topi, especially with all those guys leaving that I was talking about,
Mm-hmm.
and Geo maybe going down to a every other game player, we're going to have a little bit more cap space too. So let's we'll still stay on top of Topi's season this year because
Yep.
he
Oh yeah,
is
we'll be giving updates.
yeah. We are Topi Robertson fans on the show, and no
Yes.
one is going to tell me any different about Nick Robertson. I'll do another few rants this year. Maybe we'll repost the one I did last year. But this guy is going to be super special. I really hope he makes the team. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Um. Oh yeah, the other D I wrote down. Do we? Because like I haven't watched any preseason. Do we have Labushkin still?
No, I think he signed in
Where did the
Buffalo.
Boosh go? Oh,
Yeah,
the Boosh. Oh, I'm gonna miss him.
yeah.
Um.
So he signed for 2-year, $5.5 million contract with the
Whoa.
Buffalo Sabres. So 2.7 million. There's no wonder we didn't re-sign the Boosh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Damn.
So yeah, Buffalo is a it's not gonna be fun to play against them, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Uh but we will miss the Boosh. We were all big Boosh fans here. Um
And
I mean the
another
question is, even if we had the Boosh, would you want him in the lineup over Sandy and Liljegren?
yeah, I feel like one of
Right.
them's always going to be hurt.
Yeah, fair enough. As evidenced by literally right now.
Yeah.
What was your other question?
Willie's here to stay. Willie's awesome.
Yeah.
He looked great.
I've seen
I saw his hot.
there's that one video of him like kind of coasting, circulating, be like, oh, this guy doesn't try. And people have to remember we already have a bunch of injuries on this team, including his uh the captain of the team at center on his line. Like,
Yep.
I'm not too upset. The guy had 2 goals that game, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
I'm not going to be too upset if he doesn't like want to have a massive puck battle with a Habs
In a
defenseman
meaningless game.
in a meaningless game where they're already winning. Like, it just is so people just be happy with what we have. You
Yeah.
know, Willie
I've
has
heard a lot
been
of trades with him in it, and I'm like,
it will never stop. And like these are the things that like every Leaf fan is entitled to their own opinion, but like
yeah.
these are things that you don't know if a player is going to take this stuff into consideration when they sign their next contract. You
Yeah.
know, like
Like,
Phil
oh, the
Kessel.
fans hate me.
Phil Kessel was a good example of someone who just hated the Toronto media and didn't like all the criticism from the fans. You know, like there's going to be guys like that. And I just think if they're on the team, you might as well cheer for them. Like, what benefit is going to give you to hate on a person, especially when you have no control over it? Like, you're not Keefe, you know, like you can hate Nylander and be like, he shouldn't get as much minutes. It's like, then you're going to watch all the games and get pissed off that he's getting all these minutes. It's like, well, you're not in control of it. Just like enjoy the team and hope he does well. You know? Anyways, I don't
That's
get that
very
kind of
true.
stuff. But I mean, we have our guys that we don't really like. Wade Belak was a guy that, rest in peace, but Wade Belak was a guy that back in the day, my dad and I would watch, and we'd call it a Belakian play. It was just just so bad, so bad at hockey. We all kind of have our someone's. I haven't had anyone in the last couple of years. Justin Hall actually is a good one that
Yeah.
we both, and including Din, kind of need to take a look in the mirror on and be like, well, we're also not really fighting for his next contract, but at the same time, he's someone that I'm gonna try this year just to like want the best for, because it seems like the players on the team do like him.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
He
is
has
another
great locker room chemistry.
Yeah, and that's really important in my opinion for this team going forward, especially because you don't know if Wayne Simmons is going to be up with the team, and he's another like we don't have Jason Spezza in the locker room. He might still be
Oh,
on and
yeah.
off, and
Spez.
Wayne Simmons. So like, who's going to be those veteran? And then the year before we had Thornton, and then we had Marlowe, and like Komarov. Like we always had these guys who were like the elder statesmen of the locker room, and we don't really have that. I guess
Yeah. We're fading away from it.
Gio can be the new guy. He was a captain for many years.
We got
so.
the Wayne trade.
Well, yeah, it's just I don't know if this guy makes the team. I'm not going to be too upset if he doesn't. His cap hit is a little bit high. I don't even know. I forget we have him sometimes.
Yeah.
But we all love you as a person, Wayne.
Oh, yeah.
Like it'd be awesome.
Irreplaceable.
He had spurts last year where we were like, hey, he's still an NHL player. But I would much rather have a Nick Robertson who can put up 30 goals than Wayne Simmons, who at best can put up 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you got guys like Aston Reese and Kubel who are going to throw around the body. Jan Croc's going to throw around the body.
Yeah. The young Waynes.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's going to be it for us today. Next episode, like I said, we'll have Din back with us, do a final season preview. We're going to kind of go quickly over some of the divisions, what our predictions for the year are that we're never right on.
Oh, God.
And then hopefully we'll have Downtown Stephen Brown on an episode before the season starts, because we always like having an actual objective presence on this podcast instead of just our opinions. So that's it for us. Please, everyone, now is the best time to check out our friends at the Buds and Blue Jays, because playoffs is starting. They're both going to be at the game, I believe, on Friday.
Yeah.
I, for one, literally look forward to all their videos as soon as the series ends. I will just quickly, I'll be the first view and the first comment on every single one. Known these guys since I was young, super good dudes, and they're looking for a third co-host. So if any of you guys who watch this show are super interested in the Jays, send me, Mark, or any of the guys at Let's and Blue Jays a message. That's it for us. Go Jays and go Leafs and go Browns.